You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show with your host, myself, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I am a multi-million-dollar business developer. I have developed business and real estate around the world, and I want to share with you my mental strategies, my technical strategies, and how I made it in the world of business. So I don't teach theory. I tell you about my life and introduce you to people who can also share with you what they've done to become successful. This is a practical show. This ain't a theory show. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
I have received so many pleasures, so many very good to look at, whether you own them or not. It's a pleasure just to look at such presents. Why, I have never witnessed so many presents. I think I have to build me a house for presents. This shows what Allah can do for you and me if we believe in Him.
There is nothing that we could not accomplish in the name of God. You know what your problem is? You don't have even a worthy goal to strive after. I'm going to give you an assignment today. Here's an assignment. Is there something you want? Do you want something? Something that you want, but you have not been able to get it? Huh? Close your eyes. Do you see it? Whatever it is that you want, first envision it. You got the picture. Do you see it? All right, now the question is, you have to claim what you see. I claim this. I claim it. I believe with all my heart in the name of God that I'll bring what is in my imagination into reality. We're going to bring it back like it never was. I see in the dome the name Allah written in Arabic. But I can't just dream. I got to go to what? How do you bring it into concrete reality? First, without faith, you can't what the vision?
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. We're going to just have a free-for-all show tonight. I want to answer your business questions. You guys are always sending me questions in the DM on Instagram, and I want to answer some of those live. I'm going to answer the questions from the heart. I've actually got 3, and we've got room if you guys want to put some more in the chat. And I'm going to answer them from the heart, from my wisdom, from my knowledge. It's one of those things, right, where I've reached a point in my life where I think I have enough experience where I can honestly say that I have receipts in certain areas. So I'm excited about that. Here's another thing I wanted to tell you guys about before we get started. I spoke with a very powerful new author that's on the scene. Her name is Sister Shalon Lucas Muhammad. She has written a book about a subject that, to me, is the elephant in the room in our community. And the book is entitled Life After Rape. And I told her that this has been something that I've been talking to people about for a while. And I mean, when I say I mean this subculture in our community that we just ignore, young girls and young boys being raped. If you talk to most Black men, if you ask them when they lost, when they had their first experience sexually, they'll tell you it was probably at a very young age and with an older woman, and vice versa with women. This is something we got to clean up. And so we're going to have a pretty heavy conversation about this, but we have a promo video for her. And I want you guys to check it out. And I'll be back on the other side, and we're going to get into some other announcements and then talk about these questions y'all got. Okay, let's check this out. Powerful, right? And I just want to have just a very open conversation with her, um, because I want to help and do my part to help some of our young people who are coming behind us, who I don't think we're properly preparing for this hypersexual world that they are being launched off into. And it's designed to overpower any defense mechanism that we may have developed in them, whether it's religion, whether it's discipline, whatever it is. It's very powerful. And I think we need to do a better job at having these conversations, taking away some of the stigma and some of the shame, and just allowing people to dialogue. How many people saw the conversation between Jeezy and Nia Long this week? So powerful. I absolutely love conversations like that. I've actually had a few conversations like that with men that I know. And when I say with women and men, I think it's really important that as men and women, Black men and women, that we can sit down and have very candid, open conversations with each other without any yelling. I don't like what pop culture is doing to us. It's pitting us against each other, where the men are saying we ain't nothing, and then we saying they ain't nothing. And it's like modern day Willie Lynch. And I think we have to sit down. We got to start sitting down and talking to one another and doing the work and healing. Do some work, do some forgiveness work. Make a list of people that you need to forgive. That's a coaching technique. I heard Nia say that, but I use that. I learned it when I had training, or got my training as an emotional intelligence coach. Write down your fears. And when you write down your fears, what they teach you to do, and I'll show you if you ever book me for a coaching session, is we walk through that fear and we just deal with it. We forgive. So we're not around here holding on to stuff. I think sometimes in our community, we think forgiveness means now I gotta go back to my old ways with this person. You can still have your boundaries, but it's all about us. We gotta dig in and do the work and get healthy, clean ourselves up. Anybody that knows me, before I make emotional decisions or jump to conclusions about something or anything, I'm always digging and researching, and I'll ask 1,001 questions. What did this mean? What could that mean? And I'm flipping it over and playing with the emotion of it and understanding where I feel it in my body and what that means to me, and just healing. And there's people who are arrogant enough to say, well, I'm cool, I don't need no healing. But you do. You can't have come from a legacy of being kidnapped, brought over here, beaten, enslaved, degraded for 400 and something years. You can't even, I don't think you can be anyone in America based on the way this country was founded. And even though we have lots of great and beautiful freedoms that we wouldn't likely not enjoy if we lived somewhere else, there's also a lot of trauma, a lot that we all have to unpack. And the only way we're going to get to the bottom of any of this healing and be able to work together is when we can talk to one another. And then we can go back to being social with one another. I personally think that part of our problem in many of our organizations is that we're afraid to play full out, and we're just not social with one another. See, when you're social and you're friends with somebody and you've been through stuff with somebody, it's easier for you to come to their aid and assistance. When you don't really know them, and when it's just circumstantial, meaning you just work together, you just go to church together, you just go to mosque together, you just see each other at the club, you fraternize together in your sorority or fraternity, you don't really know them. So your level of passion is not going to be as powerful as you see in that person as your brother or sister. And the way you become brother and sister, or sisters and sisters, or brothers and brothers with one another, is to go through experiences with one another, to sit down and have dialogue, conversations, share with one another, and allow each other a safe space. And so we're going to spend some time doing that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that also because one of the questions in here ties into that. So I'll come back to that. But that impacts even our businesses. And we'll come back to that. Let me see. Saturday, we got the proper handling of people. You all heard me saying that the proper handling of people is a lost art. I mean, it really, really is a lost art. And I don't know sometimes if we understand how big the level of desensitization is happening in the news and in the world. We watch movies. We don't even like the movies if it ain't no killing in it. There's just people get killed. You can watch a show and about 3, 4, 5 people get killed every episode. And we think that's normal. And it's really desensitizing us. And we think we know the difference, but our subconscious mind doesn't always know the difference. And the body responds based on what's going on in your brain. It's just like when you have a dream, right? You literally can be in the dream, being chased down the street, sweating, breathing hard in the dream. And you could be laying there in the bed, breathing hard, sweating, panicking. You could even be moving your legs and arms like you're running, but you ain't being chased and you ain't running. You laying in the bed, but your entire physiology is responding to what's happening in your mind. So if you're watching murders and crime and, sexual dysfunction and all this stuff, and this is programming your mind. Some people sit up and just watch movie after movie after movie. I get it. That's a way in which we entertain ourselves nowadays, but you got to filter in some other stuff. Sometimes I just turn to the Animal Channel and I just watch the birds, or I look at the cheetahs. Sometimes I say, you know what? I haven't had any laughter in a minute, and I'll find something funny to laugh at. But you have to find a way to diversify that, because trust me, you are creating those grooves of murder and deceit and greed and sexual dysfunction in your brain by watching this stuff over and over and over again. And then you become desensitized. So when it comes to dealing with people on a one-on-one basis, you're probably not as sensitive as you should be, and you're not as empathetic as you should be, and you're not handling people properly, because it just happens degree by degree, little by little by little, and you find it just eroding. It's just like sand eroding or land eroding as water is going over, as that knowledge of whatever it is you're studying is going over, it is eroding something away. So we're going to talk more. I think we're on episode 9 of the proper handling of people on Saturday on the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. If you like this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe to the page here. There's ways to support. The Cash App is here. This is a platform. I foot the bill for the platform. Whether it's the platform, the directory, giving you this information. Much of this I've already paid for with my blood, sweat, and tears, but I want to give it away. I don't believe that Allah blessed me to be successful in certain endeavors. If there's services that you need me to do for, I'm going to charge you for that. But to give you some game, I'll give you some game, because I felt like coming up in the world of business that people don't give game. They talk a lot of game, but they don't give you the real game. There's all these big theories. You go to conferences, you meet people, you exchange business cards. They don't follow up. They don't respond to you. You know people in the business world. They don't help you figure out how to get in front of checks. They just watching you flail, and then they talk about you. And so I don't even want to be a part of that. And so that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm so passionate about supporting us as entrepreneurs and helping us to be healthy and to establish healthy trade routes and healthy ways of handling people, so that we can offer a different way of doing things, a different business model. So that's Saturday, Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. Sunday, I'm going to be doing a show. It's going to be on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Table Talks Facebook and YouTube channel. I'm going to be with student Imam Brother Sultan Rahman Muhammad and student Imam Brother Abdul Salam. And we're going to be talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the father of Black consciousness. And something I'm so, so excited about. We're going to talk about his tremendous contributions to Black consciousness, and in essence, the way that Black consciousness is now driving the world. It is the vanguard of a new way of thinking. And you see the battle now between Black consciousness, if you will, and some other form of consciousness that's doing all kind of things to people that we're going to talk a little bit about next week. So that's going to be Sunday. That's at 7 p.m. Central Time. There's a flyer on my Instagram. Go follow me, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. You'll see it there. Now, let me tell you, exciting news. So you guys know that we have the Black Muslim Business Directory. Let me put our little logo up here so you know this is a brand that just kind of came out of my love and my passion for doing what it is that I do. And we have neglected you all for the last couple of years because just getting the site together, getting hacked, trying to get it together. I think we are finally getting our arms around it. Shout out to Sister Alita, who's helping me to get things all cleaned up, getting the right security things on there and all that stuff, updating. For those of you who have been members of the show, we're starting to put your interviews out there under your profile. You're going to be getting an email from us. If you have not claimed your site, go out there and claim it. We've got some great things that we are planning in terms of helping to build our Muslim economy. Okay. What else I want to tell you? I want you guys to go out there and claim it. I also want you guys to, if you are in Detroit, you all know we have Savior's Day 2024 in Detroit this year. If you are a Black Muslim business in Detroit, we want to help you highlight and bring some attention to yourself so that you benefit from your holiday being in your city. So we want you to be a guest on the show so that we can tell the world about your business. If there's anything that we can do to help you tweak your services so that you're more accessible to the people who will be attending Savior's Day. There are things that people are going to be buying and consuming anyway. And we may as well buy and consume it from Black businesses and Black Muslim businesses. Okay. So if you're a Black Muslim business in Detroit, we've had a few on the show. If you know any Black Muslim businesses from Detroit, tell them to reach out to be a guest on the show. Send us an email here. We'll send you a link and get you going so you can come on. But we want to interview and highlight as many Black Muslim businesses and Black businesses in Detroit between now and Savior's Day. We are on a mission. You know, in the larger community, when these conventions come to town, you have tourism, you have hospitality, you have people who make money, and this is part of the economy. These conventions and these things that come to their city is a big part of the economy. Chicago's tourism dollars are huge. I think there was somewhere around 11 million people who came to to Illinois and the Chicagoland area this summer, last year alone. I'll get that statistic and bring it back to you. But it's huge. And so we want to start capitalizing on some of that because we contribute to that tremendously. So as you're moving around, there's a lot of different things that you spend money on when you get ready to travel. And if you're traveling to Detroit, right, where the birth of our nation, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met Allah in person, Master Fard Muhammad, you may as well be doing for self, and you may as well be making some money off of your convention coming to your city. So if you're a Black business, a Black Muslim business, and you want to be highlighted, allow us to help you support you by highlighting you, by telling the world about you, by helping you offer your services, helping you figure out a way to make them convenient. Whatever it is that you're doing, we want to be a part of your success during Savior's Day weekend. We have a lot planned, and so we'll talk about that in the near future as we begin to flush it all out. Okay, so that's for the Detroit Muslims. Make sure that you all are signing up. Are you guys on my mailing list? You want to text, I didn't put that in the ticker down here. Let me do this. Text do for self to 855-574-9099. I put it in the chat and we'll add it here to the screen. Make sure you join the mailing list because there'll be updates. We're going to be doing a flyer for the Detroit businesses and the Detroit Muslims. We'll send it out there. We'll post it on social media so that you know that we want to highlight you. Okay. I'm going to talk to Brother Tory with Black Chicago Eats, because even though it's Black Chicago Eats, it can be Black Detroit Eats as well. And so we want to make sure that we are highlighting you there as well, giving you as much exposure as possible. Okay. And then we at SajdahHouse.com, we have our Savior's Day sale going on starting now using the discount code SD24. You can get 24% off of anything on the Sajdah House site, the coins. We got some little coin purses. We got a bunch of stuff out there. So you can do that. And then we have sweatshirts and things like that for sale. All right, now let's get into these questions. Let me shout y'all out in the chat. I see y'all here. Thank you, Brother Victor. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, sir. Good evening, Mom. Sister Cynthia, wa alaikum salam. Sister Alita, wa alaikum salam. Sister Betty, good evening. Welcome, welcome. That's right. I see you all's comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So now for the questions. The first question I got, I'm not going to say the name of the person who sent the question, okay? This one was sent to me on IG. The person says, I have been taught that business is not emotional. What does this mean? And I seem to be getting a different message from you. All right. Business is not emotional. So there's a lot of people who say that. And I think that the fact that we are removing or attempting to remove emotion from business is what is creating the predatory practices that have built this economy on the backs of an enslaved people. Okay. When you remove your emotion, when you remove your empathy, when you remove your concern for others, you will do things based on the numbers that may actually hurt somebody. And you will lean on the fact that, oh, well, this is how the numbers fell out. It ain't personal. It's just business. That's really just an excuse to say, I'm about to screw you, but it ain't personal. That's really what it is. See, it's really a silly, silly statement because I think it depends on how you see emotions. Is there room for bad emotions in business? Absolutely not. You can't be overly emotional. You can't be irrational. You can't be delusional. But it was absolutely emotional when 50,000 people came over here from Europe and decided that they wanted to claim America and that they was going to kill everybody here and establish a world economy. That was absolutely emotional. It was absolutely emotional to decide that you were going to go to Africa and steal millions of people, kidnap them and bring them back and make them work for you for 400 and something years. That's absolutely emotional. It is absolutely emotions that are going to make us get up out of this condition. It's emotional when you say, you know what, I'm going to make it by any means necessary. My business is going to be successful no matter what. That is absolutely an emotional statement. Is it an irrational statement? Sometimes it might be, because the odds might be stacked against you. Is it delusional? You might be able to call it delusional, but you cannot say that emotion has no space in business. You got to be emotionally intelligent. That's the reason why we teach on this show, on this platform, emotional intelligence. So you understand what those emotions are communicating to you. So you understand how to connect your solar plexus with your mind, with your analysis of the business, with the finances, with the crisis management, with understanding how to mitigate risk. We help you put that whole thing together. This is like osteopathic business. Y'all know the difference between like an MD and a DO. A MD is like a medicine doctor. A DO is osteopathic, where they focus on the whole body. Well, we focus on all of you in business, not just plopping you in a business and snatching your soul out from you and saying emotions have no space in business. Well, guess what? That means you'll lie, steal, kill, and do whatever it is that you got to do. And that's just not what we're setting up here today. See, many movements, many religions, from Islam to even in some cases Christianity, was established through trade routes. People got together and started to participate in the activity of life that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan calls business. So if somebody shuts you down emotionally and tells you, well, emotions have no place in business, they're grooming you to be a predator and to be a hardcore business person that is not interested in introducing much needed goods and services into our community. See, if emotions have no space and you don't care about emotions in business, then you'll put some products into the community that kill your people. You'll let the water get messed up, because when you look at the numbers, you may say, well, there's no justification for correcting the infrastructure system and fixing the water. There's no way we can do it, because financially, looking at the numbers, we don't have the resources to do it. So we just let the people die. Or you may say, well, you know what? I know I'm supposed to be selling hamburgers, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this chemical in there. And I know it might cause some people cancer, but it's going to increase my bottom line by 60%. This ain't emotional. This is business. That's absolutely still emotional, because you're emotional about the money you're getting ready to make. You're so emotional to the point where you're willing to kill and hurt and maim somebody to get the money. So that is just, and I'm sorry to be so passionate to whomever sent in this question, but it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Listen, business is the activity of life. We have every right as a human being to be able to sustain ourselves, okay, in the business world and be able to be our authentic self. Now, I don't know how you're going to break away. I don't know how you're going to steal away. I don't know how you're going to get out from up under the thumb of these predators if you're not emotional about it. You better cry. You better sweat. You better push and pull and struggle. You better put some emotion behind it. You just got to understand emotions. You just got to understand what they mean. You can't be rogue. You just got to be intelligent about it. You have to be emotionally intelligent. But unless you inherited your money from somebody, you can't tell me that, especially if you're a self-made millionaire or billionaire, that emotions didn't come into play. And especially considering what we're up against, you better have some emotion and some passion and some compassion in there with you. Okay. So I'm emotional when I tell you that we're going to support Detroit Muslim businesses for Savior's Day and leading up to Savior's Day. I'm passionate about that. That passion is an emotion. I'm intentional about that. And that intention is focused, and there's an energy behind that intention that you might describe as an emotion. But I want to see us benefit. I want to see us win. You got a convention coming to your city. If you are Muslim in Detroit, if you are Detroit Black business, we want to help you. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So we kind of got to, these people who say these things is unfortunately, it's people oftentimes, and I'm not trying to be derogatory, but it's oftentimes people who subscribe to the concept that to be successful, all we have to do is just be dark-skinned white people. And this ain't even a slap against white people. It's a slap against a white establishment that has been very predatory towards people of color and people of different means, different socioeconomic means. So predatory against Black people, Hispanics, poor whites, Native Americans, anybody who just didn't meet that class structure. That's a white establishment. And so when we create when we're nation building, we can't think about being just like that and just being dark-skinned white people. That business model is not going to work. You see that in Liberia. You see that in these countries like Cote d'Ivoire and places where they made it for freed slaves, where they didn't work on the people spiritually. There was no proper handling of people. There was no level of civilization. There was no way of doing things. There was no emotional intelligence training. There was no empathy training. You just snatched people, made them free, popped them in a country. And what did they do? They took the Jim Crow and all this other stuff that they learned in America and Britain and France and took it straight over to their countries. Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, all these places that you created for the freed slaves. You didn't teach them civilization. They didn't go there and start farming and engaging in trade and commerce. They went over there trying to act like dark-skinned white people. There's colorism. Anyway, I think y'all get the point. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions about that, how you feel about that, or if you have any business questions you want me to answer. I only got 3 of them. So here's the next one. This person says, Assalamu alaikum. My family has access to a lot of successful business people. People say I am lucky, but how do I utilize this to my advantage? Again, I'm not going to say any names. This is one of our youths who sent this question in. Here's the deal. I was listening to, I think it was TK Kirkland, talking about how, I'm going to take the shift off of business, how when you're in comedy, when you're young, it's very difficult to be a good comic because you haven't lived enough to have jokes that enough people can connect to and find funny. You don't have enough life experiences. I was listening to Leslie Jones talk about that. You just don't have enough life experiences. Well, what happens in business? We go to school, we learn business theory, but we don't really know business. We don't know what it's like. We don't really understand the science of business. And so the best way to get into that understanding of the science of business is to roll with somebody who is practicing business. See, you can become a doctor by hanging with a doctor and doing business with a doctor. Not business with a doctor, but doing practicing medicine with a doctor. They can show you how to do certain things. Now, in this world, they lock you up if you say you're a doctor. But I will tell you that after 12 years of working very closely with an osteopathic surgeon, seeing patients with him, having to shadow him so that I could build the surgery center and then build the hospital, having the right policies and procedures, knowing how to diagnose so I could figure out how to reduce that to paper, knowing how to talk to patients, okay? Understanding risk factors associated with medical treatments and things like that. I got to the point, and this is what happens when you shadow, my medical intuition began to heighten. So when you come out of school, you don't have a business intuition. All you got is your books. So if you have people in your family who know business, as the person who wrote the question said, then you should absolutely be trying to figure out how you can spend as much time with those business people as possible. And let me tell you this, I don't care if you have a job. See, because when you work a job, here's the way it goes. Let's take healthcare, for example. There's the clinical side, there's the administrative side, and then there's the development side. If you're working on the clinical side, you likely ain't going to see the development side. If you're working on the clinical side, you might see a little administrative, but you really ain't in the trenches on an administrative standpoint. If you're working on the administrative side, you 9 times out of 10 are not in the OR. That's why I wanted to have that experience. I have been holding pressure on patients after surgery and had somebody pee on me because they just unconscious. When you get in the trenches like that, I've cleaned up number 2 when there was a cold brown because I didn't feel like I could have the integrity to work in the industry unless I actually experienced it. And so that's what I did. I've been in there when somebody's coded. I've had to help. I've had to scrub in and just, if nothing else, just help hold a person's leg up and deal with what that feels like in your body when you see life and death passing from somebody. And then on the development side, a lot of times if you're on the clinical side, you don't know what's happening on the development side. You don't know how they're making the decisions. You don't even understand how the insurance companies are putting together the parameters for the clinical policies and procedures that they force you to follow. It's just like as patients, a lot of us limit our treatment to whatever the insurance company is going to pay for. So in business, even if you're working a job, some entry-level little job somewhere that they just want to put a butt in the seat so that they can check a box somewhere and say they got a cute Black person or a cute Hispanic person there, they're not going to show you the science of business. You're not going to learn the science of business. What are you going to learn? You're going to learn how to be a good worker. And they're going to indoctrinate you on how to check the box and do all the things that you have to do so that you're a good worker. You can sit there all day long and say, well, I want to open my own business one day. But if you don't know what to look for, all you're doing is learning to be a good employee. And 9 times out of 10, if you was a good student, you're going to do good and be a good employee, and you'll be working there for the rest of your life. So if you have an opportunity like this person says, my family has access to a lot of successful business people. People say I am lucky, but how do I utilize this to my advantage? You got to spend some time with them. You have to roll with them. You got to be with them. You got to see how they're dealing with things. You got to see how many, as a business person, how many phone calls I get during it all day. How do I decipher those phone calls? How do I know what business makes sense to do? How do I prepare myself for a client? How do I give myself to my client so that my client can have results? How do I help my client to push them to that next level? What do I do? How do I build something? How do you deal with a contractor that might be trying to steal from you or take advantage of you because they see it's a lull in your project? How do you deal with people who are jealous, who are trying to come in and siphon your business and take over your stuff, but yet you over here building, but they out here on some BS propaganda? How do you deal with that? You don't know that as an employee. And you'll never know it as an employee. I don't care how many benefits they give you. I don't care how beautiful the office is. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how often they buy you lunch. I don't care how many benefits they give you. They're grooming you to be a good employee. And I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how early you graduated from high school. I don't care how many grades you got. I don't care how many people you know. You don't know what to look for because all you know how to do is transition from a student to an employee. And as a good student, they know you know how to check the boxes. They know how to make you a good employee. And so that's what they working on. So if you in the business of nation building, if you a Muslim, especially, and this person is because they said Assalamu alaikum, I see the name, but they are, then guess what? You should be putting yourself in a position so you can nation build. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself, life is going to take over. You're going to get a girlfriend, you're going to get a boyfriend, you're going to get married, you start messing around, you get pregnant, have children. This happens, that happens. Next thing you know, you're like, man, I've been working here for 5 years, 10 years. I really want to own my own business, but I guess I'm going to have to go ahead and just take a little job somewhere because you don't know how to do it. So if I cannot stress to this person and anybody else listening, if you have access to people who are in business, find a way to shadow them and be up under them. Let me tell you, from a spiritual standpoint, when I was coming along as a young vanguard and I was blessed to meet somebody like Mother Tainetta Muhammad, when I saw she would allow me to be around her, she didn't move without me right there. I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm seeing how she's deploying different laws of the universe and how she utilized the teachings and how she interact with people and how she moved. I'm paying very close attention. As young vanguard, Sister Aletha and I were talking about that the other day. Sister Donna, Sister Sharifa, may Allah be pleased with her. Sister Aisha used to take us out. Sister Betsy Jean, Sister Maria, and we would literally sit down and they would teach us how to eat. It's like almost we had our own finishing school. But we would not have learned that if they didn't take us and put us in that actual setting. When we had to get on post, we had post assignment where you would go serve at the palace. Well, we had to reenact that. We had to learn how to do that. It's not just, it's bigger than just the books and the classes. The books and the classes, that's good. But trust me, you got to understand something about white folks. Once they start letting us go to college at 13, 14, once they start letting us go to the Ivy League schools and all that, you can bet your bottom dollar that ain't the way to build a nation. Because they letting us do it. Giving us scholarship. Oh, come on, go on, take a class. Because they know it's just going to make you a good worker. They're not saying, come to my business. Let me tell you something. Did y'all see Donald Trump on trial today? The civil trial that's dealing with his business. You see, he got 2 sons and his daughter. The daughter testified yesterday. She negotiated a bunch of the contracts. She's obviously a good negotiator. And then he rewarded her with a $4 million commission on one particular deal. I think it was the post office that they converted to a hotel. Because by the time they got of age, they start rolling with their dad. And so whatever you think about him, he's indoctrinating his children into his version of development so that they get it. But what do? Y'all better hurry up and get a job. Go work somewhere. Because we so daggone jealous of the person with the business or the person with money or the person that knows what we don't know. We don't encourage our children to go shadow them and be with them and sit down and hang with them and roll with them so that you know how to do business. Because I guarantee you, if they don't get it and if they don't get going, they're not going to be able to open a business. They're not going to have the skill sets. They're just not going to be able to figure it out. This is the reason why a lot of people in business have a hard time, especially those of us who kind of came up the academic way. When you see people who are athletes or, and I'm not talking about people who have their name attached to a business. I'm talking about people who really build businesses, like rappers. A lot of times you really see it a lot in the hip hop community, where these brothers come up out the street, they take those skills from the street and they convert them into businesses and become multimillionaires and billionaires. They didn't go to Harvard. They don't have all these classes that they've taken. You know what they did? They learned it in the street because they rolled with somebody else who was making money, and then they just learned how to do it with the right product and the right service. See, we're backwards as educated Black people. Yes, education is good. But all we want to be able to say is my daughter is working at Harvard, or my son's such and such, and he's working at so-and-so hospital. Does he know how to open a hospital? Does he know how to even open a clinic? Does he know how to invent something? See, during Reconstruction, we had more Black inventors and business owners. Why? Because we was the ones doing the work in the business during slavery. So we just converted that right on over and started owning and operating our own businesses. It wasn't until Jim Crow where they started shutting us down and deciding they want to do all kind of crazy stuff to stop us from establishing commerce for ourselves. But prior to that, we were business people because we didn't have no choice. They wasn't letting us come downtown and work in their offices. And in a lot of cases, we didn't want to. So that's it. That's question number 2. Question number 3, the person's question is kind of cryptic. It says, how does forgiveness help you in business? Well, forgiveness is going to help us in business, just like any other form of healing will help us in business, because it's all connected. It's all energy. It's all energy. See, this is another thing, going back to question number 2. When you get up and go to work every day, about the only thing you got to summons up out of yourself is just to get up, get your clothes on, and get there. Right? If you can get yourself up, get in the shower, brush your teeth, wash your face, get your clothes on, you know, you can be damn near a zombie, get in your car. You can be depressed. You can be tired. You can not want to go, but you go and you go through the motions. And corporate America knows this. So they set up these systems. So they don't really need you to be too smart. You just come in and check a box. When you are developing your own business, when you have to deploy proper handling of people, when you have to be responsible for introducing these goods and services into your community, you're summoning a different part of your spirituality. It takes a different kind of person. When I was successful making $325,000 as a consultant, and everybody was like, "Woo, this is great." That's a different mental and emotional commitment than owning your own business. And so I had to build up that muscle. And you build up that muscle by taking away those distractions, because so much of it is a mental game, right? And much of it is also a spiritual game, because you're in a field where, people may not want you there. So you got to deal with that. You got your own insecurities and your own personal challenges that you want to clean up. You don't want no residue of that in your way. And so if you got to forgive somebody, if you got to heal and do the work on yourself, get yourself healthy and whole, now you're cleaner. You're a better vessel. Allah can use you in whatever capacity, because I believe that in this dispensation of where we are today, our businesses are divine. And in many cases, they're a calling. It's bigger than just having a non-emotional business. You may have one of those over there, so that business can then feed your passion. So it's important that we do the work on ourselves. We have to stop lying to ourselves. What happens when you lie to yourself? You're off. We talked last week, I think it was, about the vibration of authenticity. The vibration of authenticity is when you have truth and you believe in the truth. Well, if you lie to yourself in your head, if you got all this chatter going on in your head, then your vibration is not at the level that it should be. It's not the vibration of authenticity. And we learned in the class that we had a few weeks ago, or last week, I can't remember when it was, we learned that the vibration of authenticity is a more powerful vibration than the vibration of love and the vibration of gratitude. Why? Because the vibration of authenticity is like Minister Farrakhan. It lines right up with the truth. So much so that it becomes the truth. That's why somebody like him can say a word, and that word can awaken you. It can resurrect you. It can change the world. That person brings an environment with them where they vibrate so powerfully that they're literally killing demons within the people around them. That's what we're all striving for. But if you got things in your heart that you're real envious, you're jealous, you need to forgive people, it's going to be hard for you to do business. You know why? It's going to be hard for you to do conscious business, because the easiest thing for you to do is either just go, you know what, I can't take it. Let me just go over here and get a job. Nothing wrong with that, because we need workers. Or you're going to just say, you know what, I'm just going to be a predator. I'm going to be hardcore. I'm going to just be street. I'm going to just be real dogmatic. I'm not going to have any empathy. And it really ain't because you don't want to have any. It's because you can't have any, because your soul is not at peace and it's not at rest. So I encourage you, do the healing work. We have to pray. We have to meditate. But more than that, go through your study guides. Go through your gratitude journal. Create a gratitude journal. Sit down and create a forgiveness list. What are all the things that have happened in your life that you need to forgive yourself for? What are you holding yourself hostage as a result of? What has happened in your life that you just don't want to forgive yourself? You know you could have made a better decision. You know you could have did something differently. Go through and heal yourself. Forgive yourself for it. Do the work. And guess what? You will line more up with that vibration of authenticity, and anything that doesn't vibrate at that level will bounce right off of you. So forgiveness absolutely has everything to do with business, because you want your vessel to be clean, because you want to provide good services and good products to your community. You want to overcome and be so tied into the Creator that you overcome any obstacle before it even comes to you, and even those that you don't even know are against you. You want to know that you belong to Allah. You want to be wise in that way, but it becomes very difficult. And all you can do is be a toy soldier if you're not healing, because you can't hear anything else. You have to wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. And if you move out on your own, you have to move out in a dogmatic difficult, hardcore, non-empathetic manner. And that's not what we want. That's not what we want. If business is the activity of life, then guess what? Then Islam will be communicated. It will be shared through business and commerce. Islam is just being in submission to the will of Allah. So you should be able to do business with people from all walks of life. People from all walks of life should find you as a fresh, like a cool drink of water. They should say, oh, I'm so glad I met you. I enjoy doing business with you. Thank you. They should be referring you to their friends because you just make the experience good. That's being a civilized person. People shouldn't feel uncomfortable. And I don't mean just touchy-feely good. I mean being an asset. When people are around you, next thing you know, they done came up. I try my best that anybody who ever is around me or spend time with me, I try my best to do whatever I can to help you with what you dream for and what you desire. Any way I can, I try my best. If you come to me and you say something's wrong or I got a problem, I'm right there like, okay, what we got to do? How are we going to fix it? Because that's how I want Allah to use me. And so, yes, person who wrote the question, I can't say your name. Yes, yes, and yes. That's how forgiveness is important. So, all right, people. Thank you. I see y'all in the chatting. Let me see what y'all said. Sister Betty said, I love this. I got me some coconut water. I usually don't drink like sweet drinks, but I got me some coconut water because I was a little dehydrated. I think it's the weather. Let's see. Sister Lisa, peace and blessings, beautiful. Sister Elisha, ASA, Sister Sajdah and family. All right. Sister Lisa said it's balanced. Sister Cynthia saying absolutely. Sister Betty saying absolutely. Sister I want to say good teaching, Sister Sajdah. All praises due to Allah. Thank you. Some of y'all, thank you. I see your comments here. Sister Letha said that's right with her bullseye. Yeah, we just got to make this clear. Brother Victor, thank you for that comment. Falsehood negates your reality. Yes, yes, and yes. So thank you all. Listen, tune in. Next week, we're going to be talking to Sister Shula Lucas. Let me say her name right. Shulan Lucas Muhammad. And she wrote the book, Life After Rape. I'm going to show her commercial again. This is going to be a powerful conversation. One of the things I want to talk about is the sexual subculture that exists in our community that nobody talks about. We got to fix this and we got to do something about it. So instead of showing another one of our Sajdah House commercials on the way out, I want you to see this commercial for our powerful show next week with our sister and her new book, Life After Rape. Okay, don't chip and dip me. I think you got something tonight. Cash App, $ Sajdah Enterprises. Y'all see that going across the bottom of the screen. Support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Let all the Detroit Muslim businesses know that we want to promote them and support them so that when their convention comes to their city, they can benefit. And we got a special Savior's Day sale going on at SajdahHouse.com. It's 24% off. But like I said, don't chip and dip the show. Sajdah Enterprises is the Cash App. And if you want to donate to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you can do so there. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, you could do so there or SajdahHouseDonations.com. All right. We'll see you all Saturday for the Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. And we'll see you Sunday for the Table Talks and NOI Archives and Sajdah House Live. You don't want to miss it. See you soon. Peace and blessings.